As Election Day inches closer, you'll likely see a lot more ads about the U.S. Senate race here in Texas. So we're taking a closer look at an ad you might have seen during the Red River rivalry game this past weekend to verify its accuracy.
The ad featured Vietnam Marine veteran Tim Lee claiming Congressman Colin Allred wants Texans to pay for gender transition surgeries in the military. Here's a bit of that ad.
Allred demanded that taxpayers pay for sex change operations in the military, even on kids. That's not the America that I fought for.
Now, the ad was paid for by the Truth and Courage PAC, not Senator Cruz's campaign. It focuses on a congressional letter that Allred signed onto about the National Defense Authorization Act, which lays out how the military will be funded for the fiscal year 2025. In late September, Cruz's campaign sent an email to supporters making a similar claim to the one in the ad, writing, quote, "The letter affirms that funds from the Department of Defense may be used to facilitate sex change surgeries." So let's verify. Is Congressman Allred calling for the Department of Defense funding to be used to facilitate gender reassignment surgeries?
Well, first, let's look at the letter itself. It was written in late September by 3 representatives from California, Washington, and Wisconsin. And then more than 160 lawmakers signed it, including Congressman Allred. Now, it was addressed to the House and Senate Armed Services Committee, and it calls for the removal of, quote, anti-LGBTQ+ measures in the Defense Authorization Act. Signed lawmakers say those measures will threaten recruitment and retention in the armed forces. It criticizes 2 provisions in the bill, Sections 708 and 709, that restrict the use of DOD healthcare funding for sex change surgeries and medical procedures for children that could result in sterilization. The letter calls those procedures, quote, medically necessary care for transgender service members and their families, saying denying access to that care will deter transgender people from joining the armed forces. Now, it is important to note the parts of the bill that they called wanting to be removed are still in the bill.
That letter was sent in late September, but the bill passed the House in June with those provisions. It has yet to come up in the U.S. Senate. So we can verify Congressman Colin Allred did sign on to a letter that calls for the removal of measures from the National Defense Authorization Act that restrict the use of military health care funding for gender-related surgeries and certain procedures for minors. But those provisions are still in the bill as of now. It's unclear when it can come up in the U.S. Senate.